how did all the other jumpers that are with us cope with their fear? I find it fascinating and intriguing how your body responds to fear even after being exposed repeatedly to a situation.
Yeah, I find at some point it's the hidden fear that we don't realize we're in fear, but we have less mental ability and like in the pattern at some point. We're not the same person out there, and I don't know if it's pure fear or whatever, but there's a point where we're, yeah, maybe we don't realize that we don't have the same capacity as on the ground or whatever. So
Mhm.
it's the, yeah, things that alter your judgment still, even though you're not in panic mode. So it's that what I'll call the hidden fear, but yeah,
Yeah, learning how to operate in that
yeah,
in that red zone a little bit, you know.
yeah. You're still
Or
the
is
bodies in the sky.
It's, you know, it's firing up the parts of the brain that give you the power to do something about your world, you know, do something about the fact that the ground is coming and you haven't pulled anything yet, or or whatever that is. It allows us to collapse our attention completely into the present moment, and that's the benefit. That's the benefit of that.
right,
The problem with the fear interpretation of it is it also has an inherent helplessness to it, where we fixate on this very clear vision of a conclusion that we don't like, and we can't look away from it. And it's the only thing in our minds, and therefore it's the only thing in our future. And so I think to have that deliberate um, awakening, I guess is the word that's coming to my mind, that even though you're scared, you still have the ability to go, all right, that sucks what I'm looking at. You know, I'm headed downwind and I'm going really fast. All right, well, is there something I can do about that to minimize my risk? Where do I need to look that is going to make me feel better? You know, what's going to soften my fear is lower risk, you know, to do things that are going to change my fate. You know, the fear is just saying that your current vector is not sustainable.
right.
You know, whatever you're doing, it's, you can't do this much longer. So change, you know, change. It's okay.
For me, it was, well, one, thousands of people do this every day successfully.
Yeah.
And then after that was learning to fly and land my canopy so that I'm sure I can put myself on the ground in one piece. Even if it doesn't go as planned, I'm still going to end up in one piece.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
you know, the better I got at landing, the less fear I had through the whole process.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reducing perceived risk is really what it comes down to. And it's all perception anyway, right? And that
Right.
perception
Right.
will change over time with repeated exposure and more understanding of your power, you know, understanding how you can control that parachute, how you can control where you are in free fall, and when the parachute actually deploys. That all is weight on the other side of the scale, you know, going away from the fear response, you know, that like bunk, you know what I mean? Or if you had one of those tipping scales, bunk is lockup, you know, bonk is panic. That's where we seize up in every way, and we stop processing, you know, we stop sort of physically doing anything usually, but it also is a stopping of searching for the answers, because
Right.
you know, it paralyzes us. I mean, quite literally, right? In the highest levels of startle response, in the lower levels, now you have fight, flight, and freeze, you know,
Right.
which none of those really help when you're in the sky. Unless flight means actually flying your parachute and
Right.
flying your body to solve the problem, and that can be very helpful, you know, tracking off. That's, you know, that's exactly, you know, and it feels
Yeah.
good.
Good point.
It
Yeah.
kind of feels good. Or you beep, 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 and you buy and you turn in your track and you immediately start to feel better because you know you're creating space for you to get your parachute over your head. I love tracking. It's a great feeling.
I'm feel good and free fall. I'm filled with power,
Mhm.
but when I'm stay under the parachute, sometimes I feel panic, I think.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah,
lose my pattern and
yeah.
I need work on this, yes. Because it's fear
Yep.
for
Yep.
me,
It's fear.
always.
So now it's about envisioning a different version of you, you know, still you, but the powerful you under canopy. What does that look like? What does that feel like? To go into a state first of calming, you know, because it's got to begin there where you're like, you know, or you're kind of locked up, looking around real fast, breathing like crap, you know, everything's tight. And then you have this moment of awareness that this isn't how I wanted to feel. You know,
Yeah.
I wanted to feel powerful and calm and happy. Why I'm jumping is to become happy.
Right.
Right? I mean, if you're doing it for any other reason, you probably need a different sport.
You're supposed to be having fun. I say.
I think so. I mean,
That's
I mean,
what
even
it's
the-
all about.
Why
even
is
if the
everybody
plane's on
quiet?
fire. Yeah, even if the plane's on fire, have fun as you do your emergency exit and do it right, you know? Not just right in terms of body position, but right in terms of attitude. Because if you still are in the moment, in this sense of power, then you can exit the aircraft and have the awareness to go, wait, I shouldn't pull just yet because that guy's right, you know, behind my streamlines, you know, where I'm going to deploy a parachute into his face. You know, that wider awareness is what makes us great skydivers. And that
Yeah.
does require a certain amount of kind of like, "Ooh, this is fun," you know. Oh, I have a malfunction, whoo, you know, instead of, "Oh my God." Big difference.
Right.
Same situation, but now you're wearing the adrenaline right. You know, you're leaning into it instead of away from it. And that's what's gotten me through a lot of it.
Right.
It just have fun with it, you know, instead of the fear being a big deal, you know, the judgment. I mean, I know as a guy, I'm like, I have so much programming around it that I'm not ever supposed to let myself be afraid. And if I show it now, you know, people are gonna make fun of me because they did on the playground. You know,
Right.
whether it's, you know, you hide from the pitch, you know, you know, and then you have this moment of shame because you're not being a man, you know. But being a man is about recovery from fear, not the absence of the response. You're going to have the response. That's just genetics, you know, it's the brain structure, it's all of what we are trying to stay alive. That's all it is.
It's embracing the fear.
Yeah.
I would say, you know?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. You lean into it, you
It's-
accept it. This is how I feel.
Yeah.
I like asking,
I like it.
why are you afraid?
Mm-hmm.
People say,
Well,
why am I afraid? Done this so many, why am I afraid? And then you usually get the same answer, especially for newer people. And it's, I'm not afraid. It's just the landing part.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's work on your flare then.
Yeah. Yep.
Fear
But think
is
about your flaring when
malfunction.
Fear is a
Yes, for me
malfunction?
it's this. Yes.
Fear is a
I
it
am
is.
paralyzed if I need cut off, and I
Right.
don't know. I
It's a
am
brain
not paralyzed,
malfunction.
but this is fear for me. Scary.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, that's and to recognize that that is part of it. You know, where you, especially I get it in turbulence sometimes when it's really bad turbulence, canopy's bouncing around and immediately I have this moment of like, oh shit, you know, is my canopy just going to go away at some point and not come back? And then my next thought, because I don't entertain those thoughts long, I immediately go, how do I charge at it? How do I go faster and smoother? How do I reduce the risks of a canopy collapse in this environment? I can't just wait for it to hit me. I got to hit it first.
Yeah.
You know, by flying fast and smooth and mobile, you know, where I'm not just holding still, because that's where the seizure sets in, you know, the paralysis sets in when you stop doing stuff. Be free to fly. You're bouncing around, have a little fun with it. And
I hate it.
continue
I'll be
maneuvering.
there. Like,
Mhm.
not no today.
Yeah.
Like, not today. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying to
not-
myself.
Not today. Yep.
Yeah.
I hate the turbulence they get sometimes, but
Yep. Oh, yeah, everybody does, because that's
that's
where
me.
the,
I'm
you
like,
know,
up, I get down. I'm like, not again. I don't want to do this again. I was like, all right, well, you know,
maybe
fly a
it'll be
little bit better.
Maybe later it'll be better, right? But you stand
Maybe it'll be better
around,
later. I don't
Yes.
know.
get some food, chill out, do something else, you know, that's fine too. But while you're in the moment, you don't have that. You don't have that option.
Yeah.
Super
you
manageable.
know, yeah, you manage the fear by breathing better, bigger and fuller, slower. You manage the fear by relaxing muscles and doing the things that make you safer,
Right.
right? That's, you know, reducing that perceived risk in all all aspects of it. When I breathe better, I'm more aware. I'm oxygenating my brain. So the solutions occur to me now. But if I go into that dark space of, frozen in a foxhole, I can't save myself. So you keep moving, taking proactive motion towards safety. Just don't beat yourself up for being scared. For God's sakes, you're jumping out of an airplane. Of course you're scared. Everybody's scared.
And that's the craziest thing is like ever since I started skydiving, I've seen my confidence in all areas of life increase,
Yep.
and that's what's so crazy is how much I enjoy it and how much confidence building and just overall it impacts me and I love it. But it's just like just understanding that fear and the presence of it and working in it instead of allowing it to paralyze you.
Yep.
So.
And recognizing that the fear alone isn't going to kill you.
Right.
And it's the avoiding of fear in general that causes most people to not jump ever.
Right.
And it's also the avoiding of fear when we don't have as much fear in skydiving, further down the road, hundreds or thousands of jumps. Now you don't experience fear all that often at all because you're good at it. You know how to do. This is all your comfort zone. This is your space. And then we avoid the fear of trying new stuff because we don't want to look stupid. Taking on bigger challenges, newer challenges, and people tend to get into this narrow path of I do what I'm good at. And that eventually leads to a terminal point of I'm bored. And bored leads to you not skydiving because you lost the meaning.
Right.
So you got to keep, recognizing, those lines are starting to again. I'm a little too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable. And then you widen out and go, all right, let's try something weird. Try a different parachute, try a different approach method, do a different, something different in free fall from your comfort zone. Because none of the growth happens in the comfort zone.
Right. Absolutely.